before we start running, there is a couple of things that I need to cover. First of all, this game goes by IGT rather than the usual RTA for speedruns. Because number one, different models of PS2 have slightly varying load times. Number two, IGT pauses any time the game is loading, which allows runner to play on any platform they have access for. So for example, PS3 and emulator players have non-trivial advantage in terms of load time. Therefore, going by IGT eliminates this issue. RTA is still viable to use because it's a ballpark figure for determining whether your run is ahead or behind. On the other hand, emulator has slightly faster save, which actually accounts for IGT. Fortunately, it only saves 1 second per save point, according to CastJ1357 and DragonDarch from SDA. Second thing to note about that, the stuffs that are happening in the run, such as item dupe, is available in video description. So make sure to check them out to understand how to actually perform this mechanic and how can you do other mechanics such as animation cancel, or how does the sub weapon work. Third of all, I guess. But most importantly, you have to understand that the luck required to get high level times is pretty insane. Bosses have to cooperate, enemies have to cooperate. You have to get the sub weapon that you want from an RNG based item. The list goes on. But don't be intimidated from this run because it's extremely enjoyable one. And trust me on that, especially when you get the cycles and everything else. Finally, we're about to see a footage here. This is where the footage must be shown once you actually start running the game. It must show before the title screen, as we are watching now, show a new file that being created. The timer for RTA, it will start as soon as the final dialog of save prompt fades. Here we are. We're going to break this run down room by room. Hallways are pretty self-explanatory unless otherwise necessary. The first part of this video is going to cover the tutorial area. We have to complete it before getting access to a warp room, which gives access to all other areas of the castle. In the first tutorial room, jumping to the left of the platform saves via frame. The potion is necessary for money purchases. Thanks to DragonDarch's new route, we now skip Serum and the Uncursed Potion, which saves roughly about 5 seconds of IGT. In this room there are 3 skeletons. Triangle, square, triangle is the best way to deal with skeleton. The damage from square is meaningless, but it has a faster animation than triangle. For this room to be perfect, the second and third skeleton needs to line up so I can hit both of them with triangle, square, triangle. Sadly, it didn't happen, which is okay, since I salvaged it back with triangle delay, triangle, triangle. I action cancel into a jump to eliminate the pause after a finisher, and to get some distance between the attack. For the next tutorial room, magical ticket is necessary for money. Here we need to pick up Savage statue because it ends up being useful. I mean, it's forced pickup after all. However, the main thing is that the Golden Knight can cost me time by choosing not to attack as soon as possible. There is nothing I can do about it either. In this hallway, we use a dupe at this point because it's slightly faster than the one that's using on the east hallway. You can see that I brought up a quick menu to try to pre-select the next item I'm going to need, so we don't have to waste time switching to do it later. We have to save as a warp point for a memorable ticket, because unfortunately there's no other way to activate it without actually saving it. So before we jump into the next shopping area and such, remember when I talked about save time difference between emulator and the actual platforms? Let's take a look here. You can clearly see the difference already. So back to where we was. We are off to shopping. I sell everything but one magical ticket and buy 2 memorable tickets. And then we use a memorable ticket to go back to the save point for the last time I saved. We go back to the hallway, also known as the dupe point, to restock memorable ticket and magical ticket. We go back to shopping to sell 7 magical ticket and 7 memorable ticket in order to afford 1 ruby. We go back to the east hallway again to dupe ruby to the maximum, as well as the memorable ticket. I intentionally don't dupe that magical ticket because I won't have to sell it later to get it out of the inventory. You can avoid the duping the first item by heading down or up fast enough after entering the item menu. In the final shopping, I sell 8 rubies and 4 memorable tickets, then buy 1 diamond, 1 sapphire, 1 turquoise, and the jade mask. And here we are. This concludes the tutorial area and the shopping segment for this run.